With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Live from the Sunflower State, we welcome race fans one and all to Kansas Speedway, where we get set to go racing once again for more Saturday night racing action in the Precision Racing League NASCAR Cup Series. Hello one and all, and welcome to RaceSpotTV. My name is Olrempo, here today with Linus Brostrom, with the one Mike Yao down behind the production chair for tonight's just over 200 miles and 150 lap events here from the Kansas Speedway. It's our first proper mile-and-a-half event here so far in this second season of 2023, and it's bound to be an interesting night of racing here in this one. Of course, it is race number 7, getting set to take it to the racetrack here in Kansas before we swing on over to the track too tough to tame at the Darlington Raceway, to the Lone Star State at the Texas Motor Speedway, before we return back to NASCAR's home at Charlotte, North Carolina, at America's home for motorsports at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Linus, we get set to go racing here tonight. It is one of what will end up being 3 proper mile-and-a-half tracks, and they're going to be only broken up by Darlington as we get set to close the season out in race number 7.
Yeah, it's been a great schedule so far, a lot of different racetracks, and now in round number 7, we're going to our first mile-and-a-half racetracks, and they're finishing out the season with 3 of the last 4 races on them. So being fast here tonight could really be a big tale for how you're going to perform towards the end of this season.
We'll take a look at the championship standings working into today's race. These are, of course, the driver standings. Trent Dingle, the only driver so far to have broken up above 200 points with 227. He has quite a gap over the likes of Matthew Long down in that second position. But the big news at the moment is still that fight for second. Second through fourth, separated by only 9. It is 8 from Long to Abner Acosta. Pat Harvey only 1 point out from the podium positions. It's also a big fight still going on for 5th place as well, with Chris Hudson, Joshua Daniels, and Bruno Mello only separated by 5 as well. And then, of course, the team's championship as well. Still just as tight as the driver's standings, and arguably it's a tighter championship that we got for the driver's standings, as well as 482 points to Dirty South Racing's 446 for the private label Team Hype crew. They have so far been in control of this season from the get-go, and they're going to be looking to see if they can't hightail away from DSR and the SGE Esports Pioneer crew as well. And then, of course, Love Racing and SGE Esports Entourage currently in their little fight with 11 points separating them for that 4th spot. RPM Motorsports 5 points out from that top 5 as well. So again, Linus, up and down. Teams Championship, Drivers Championship. 2 very prestigious titles here in the Precision Racing League, and still 2 titles where there's still everything to play for.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, in the Drivers' Championship, Trent has, with his 3 wins so far on the season, even though he missed the first race, he's got a pretty comfortable lead, and he's fastest here again now in practice. So if he can come out swinging here today and have a good speed all race long, I mean, I don't see why he shouldn't be getting his 4th win on the season, and But behind him, like we saw, there's tight battles all the way around for 2nd, 5th place, and the team's championship is also pretty tight, considering there's a lot more points to play for there as well. So pretty much anyone's game so far.
Kansas Motor Speedway tends to be one of the more unique racetracks, and we'll get to the unique characteristics of that in just a moment. But for now, we'll of course take some time to thank the crews and the sponsors to help to keep things under wraps here for the Precision Racing League NASCAR Cup Series. We'll start it off with, of course, Advanced Sim Racing, owned and operated by passionate sim racers. Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. All PRL members also get a 5% discount on ASR products using the Precision5 coupon code. As well as that, Racebox Sim Racing. Racebox offers mid and high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts, from the casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Competitively priced and carefully handcrafted, their button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit RaceSpotTV.com and get a 5% discount using the Precision5 coupon. And of course, the Butt Kicker. The Butt Kicker provides, Butt Kicker products add incredible immersion and realism to every single game that they have to offer. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Feel what you've been missing at thebuttkicker.com. Mecha Sim Hardware. Mecha Sim Hardware is a small company from the Czech Republic, and their goal is to produce high-quality sim racing hardware. If you're looking for high-end pedal sets, handbrakes, or sequential shifters, visit Mecha Sim Hardware's eShop right now to get you up to speed. By Moradness. Moradness is a performance lifestyle brand motivated by motorsports and founded by professional race car driver Daniel Murad. Visit for more information, view moradness.com. And last but certainly not least, by Ninja Trader. Better futures start now. Trade the world's future markets with Ninja Trader. Visit ninjatrader.com to access unlimited free trade simulation. Qualifying underway from the Kansas Speedway, and now I get to talk to one of the more unique aspects of the Kansas Speedway. So often we go to mile-and-a-half circuits here, Linus. You'll be seeing drivers tend to run to the bottom or the middle groove. Kansas Speedway, though, one of the very few tracks where you can run right up by the outside wall, and it can still be considered a fast line.
Yeah, especially in qualifying, or if you get a short one. When you want a fast lap around here, you're going to go around the top. You can just keep it, you cannot not really keep it wide open, but you can carry so much more speed coming off the corner, going into the corner and all the way around. But you have to be very precise. If you slip up a little bit and brush that wall, you're going to get a CRX, and your lap will not only be slow, but it will not be a valid lap either. So yeah, the more you're willing to push, the faster you're going to go, but the closer you're going to be to limb as well. So we're going to see a lot of cars running that wall today. In the race, especially later on when they're trying to race for the win.
Under 3 minutes remaining as the times continue to run down. We look to the likes of the 18 machine of Byron Johnson coming across the start-finish line this time through, and no time logged on this opening lap for the RPM Transmissions. Number 18, Chevrolet Camaro. He'll rip the high lane off of turn numbers 1 and 2. And it's YS Motorsports Yellow Machine down the back straightaway into 3 and 4. The timer ticks over to 20 seconds. It's a 30.275 set by Pat Harvey to beat. If Johnson wants to go for pole, close to the safer barrier on the exit of the 4th and final turn, and cross start finish, only a 30.843. That is only good enough for 22nd place. That was the end of qualifying lap number 1. Still has the potential for one more. We'll take a look further back. This is going to be Staropoli coming on down across the start-finish line this time through. The Aerokinetics number 7 trying to improve, sits 24th, and it's only going to be a little bit of an improvement for that number 7 machine, as he's going to be relegated down to what's going to be that 24th position as it stands from 31st. But again, one more qualifying lap to go. Still has the effort to see if he can't put that number 7 car back up into the top 20. And this time he's going to run the low lane through 3 and 4.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see that they're actually running the bottom here. See what he can do. Come into the finish line, he's going to put up 30.693. So only going to be good enough for 22nd position. I'm not really sure why he went low, but now we see the number 80 car here of Rafael Rodriguez. On his first lap, he's running the top again to try and get as much speed as possible onto his flying lap here. 1 minute to go of qualifying, so he's going to be able to get both this and the next lap in. He's not going to drop to the apron though to start his lap, so that's also a bit different. 31.9, that's one of the slowest first laps I think we've seen. Running high here again, gets a little bit loose on the entry to 1, and he's still loose on the exit as well, so he is definitely struggling. I don't think we're going to see a lot of positions gained for him here as he comes around 3 and 4, running somewhat in between the two lines you want to run. Either you want to be all the way up by the wall or you want to be down on the bottom. So see what he can get for a time here. He's going to come to the line and get a 31.5. So he's going to slot into 30th place, which is currently the last of everyone who's set a time.
Improves by almost half a second, but does not improve himself on the qualifying boards. And that's a tough feeling when you improve by so much, only to achieve so little. And I know this from my days when I used to run the Ivra Club Cup. When I improved by once 3 seconds on a lap, it was only good enough to put me from about 40th to 38th on the qualifying sheets. But with all that said and done, qualifying is complete. We'll take a rundown of your official starting grid here tonight from the Kansas Speedway. Pat Harvey starts this race on pole in his SG Esports Pioneer Toyota Supra, started on the inside row. Matthew Long for Dirty South Racing going to be to his outside. Trent Dingle for private label Team Hype, the current leader in the points, starts third with Chris Hudson in fourth on row number 2. Row 3 holds Johan Seminario with Abner Acosta back in sixth on that third row. Taylor Stout and Joshua Daniels will be on row 4 with Troy Torgerson, Scotty Johnson to round out the top 10. Chad Kibbe and Jeff Chandler, will be rounding out the top 12. We move down to the field, Byron Johnson and Jose Acosta, 13th and 14th. Jeff Winter and James O'Brien, 15th and 16th. Waldo Walden and Robert Besaw Jr. in 17th and 18th. Luke Christian and Skip Gandy going to be rounding out the top 20 in the top half of the field here in this one. Tristan Callahan and Eric Staropoli down on row number 11. Row 12 holds Eric Papineau and Rusty Robinson. Jay McDonald brings it up in 25th spot with Jose Medina in 26th. Tom Omasi going to be back in 27th spot with Aaron Beaver in 28th. Joe Hogard in 29th. Rafael Rodriguez was the last driver to put down a qualifying lap, down in 30th. For they've got Charles Sumner, Eric Hogg, Mike Witt, Richard Pruitt, and Ken Ayland to round out a 35-car grid here tonight. The bottom 5 cars all opting not to take a qualifying time here for race number 7 at the Kansas Speedway. Just waiting down the last few drivers to grilling up before we get things underway. And track temperature, relatively hot down there, 108 degrees Fahrenheit. That's going to be playing in big time on tires in the early goings here of tonight's race.
Yeah, it definitely is going to make it a lot more slipping and sliding for these guys here tonight. Obviously, open setup series, so I think most of these guys will have adapted their setups for it, though. And if they get a little bit too loose, they can always adjust on pit road. But yeah, be interesting to see here how many guys will actually run the top and how many will run the bottom, because usually in these cars, running the bottom around here will save a little bit more tires, but obviously the top is that much faster. So yeah, that's going to be something to look out for, who's going to go where, because you can literally use whatever line you want here. Some guys are good at saving tires at the top, some guys are good at saving tires at the bottom, so see how it plays out. But Pat Harvey leading the field here around turns 1 and 2 behind the iRacing pace car.
It is only a single lap of pace before we go to green flag racing. Tristan Callahan going to be opting to start this race from pit road. So the driver due to start 21st, not going to take to the starting grid. He's got a long race ahead of him, 150 laps or 90 minutes. So that's the time constraints that we're locked in with here tonight. We'll rock it to turn numbers 3 and 4, and want to once again thank everybody for taking the time to join us here for the Precision Racing League NASCAR Cup Series here on a Saturday night. It's the pace car going to pull down into pit road. It'll be in the hands of Pat Harvey and Barney the Flagman as he will enter the Geico restart zone. We are racing in the Sunflower State.
great start here from Trent Dinkle, starting in 3rd place. He's already looking to the inside now of Pat Harvey coming down the max straightaway, but the outside line had the momentum, so he's going to jump back to 3rd again, actually, as Matthew Long gets around him, and there's a lot of 2 wide back behind him as well. But Pat Harvey going to lead lap number 1 here at Kansas.
Harvey takes the first lap to green, but Matthew Long hot on his heels, side by side for 3rd on back. Chris Hudson bobbling up on the top shelf, and Hudson trying to make the run for 3rd to get around the private label team hype machine. Dangle cuts him off down the back straightaway off of turn number 2. Hudson jumps to the bottom, as does Matthew Long. Long going for the race lead early here at the Kansas Speedway to the inside of Pat Harvey. It'll be Matthew Long to clear off of 4. He will lead lap number 2.
A great run there on the bottom, somehow made it stick, and here comes Trent Dinkle now looking to the inside of Harvey as well, moving up into 2nd place. It looks like Harvey wants to get to the bottom, but he just can't get it down there. But Trent Dinkle now up into 2nd place, and Chris Hudson right behind Pat Harvey there. See if he's going to drive to the bottom here and make a move. He's going to stay all the way up to the top as Harvey finally makes his way onto the bottom line now. Seminario back there as well in 5th, following him, but the 43 of Hudson gets a run on the outside of Pat Harvey, side by side for 3rd place. We're on board here with Dinkle now. He's chasing down Matthew Long, trying to find a way past him, but it looks like most of these guys going to start off running the bottom, trying to save some tires, because this is, after all, a 150 lap race. You're going to have to make at least 2 stops as we have a move for 5th place, and caution's out.
Caution is out as Joe Hogard has gone around to the tail end of the field. The number 64 car in a bad way off of the 2nd corner. It was a single car spin, but the yellow flag flown regardless, and we are under our first caution period of the night. And 150 laps, that is a very long race. That is between 200 and 250 miles on length that we're going to be running here in this one. And it's going to be tight to see if we'll be able to hit that hour-and-a-half time limit. And see if we can't get a view of what happened to that number 64 car on screens here in just a moment. I believe he had some help, though, potentially from Amasi and maybe Staropoli as well. He was in a big pack of cars on that back straightaway. The field going to slow it down, get single filed out. I don't think we're going to be seeing anybody coming down to pit road this early. You're only on lap 5. You have limited tire sets, and there's no reason to be coming down to pit road on just the 5th lap of a race.
No, they have 4 sets of tires laying on pit road, so I don't think, even if you're the guy who just spun out there, Joe Hogard, I don't think you're going to get out on pit road. As you see the replay here, it looks like Amasi gets a little bit loose on the outside of him, comes down and clips his right front and just sends him spinning, but he manages to keep it out of the wall there, actually. It's a good job there from Hogard. But yeah, even though his tires are going to be pretty worn from sliding like that, you don't really get flat spots, so I think even he's going to keep his tires on. Let's see again from the onboard here, minding his own business, and yeah, Amasi just gets a bit loose there, slides down in front of him, and he's got literally nowhere to go.
It's going to be intense for a few drivers, obviously, on the restarts when we get down to moments like that. That's part of the hazards of Kansas Speedway and how it's quick no matter what line you're on. You can get to moments like we just saw, but hey, as you mentioned, a great save from Joe Hogard. Could have been a lot worse, and I'm pretty sure he'll take some smoked tires other than a car that's binned into the inside wall. So it could have been worse, could have been better, and that's regardless going to put us under caution flag number 1 here of the night. Matthew Long did manage to get up and around Pat Harvey real early, and now your pole sitter sitting back and forth. We'll be starting 2nd on the outside row with Chris Hudson and Trent Dinkle between. Now, of course, Dinkle, the championship is not quite secure just yet, but he's got a big gap as it is. And if he keeps that up, he could very well lock this championship out prior to the season finale at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And I have to wonder if he's going to be being that much more aggressive so he can kind of take it easy in the last races.
Yeah, I mean, there's no, with the gap that he's got and how well he's running, there's no point for him to be aggressive. But then again, you know, that if that's his style to be successful, he's gonna have to keep being aggressive, because if he's used to being aggressive and then he just backs down, you know, he could be in 10th, 15th before you know what happened, because he's not used to holding back. So I think Dinkle's definitely still gonna go for it here. So yeah, but pretty aggressive start from those two as well. Obviously, they were able to keep it on the bottom, so they're probably still trying to save tires, which might as well be why Pat Harvey wanted to let those guys go, because he wanted to find a way back to the bottom to try and save tires. But we'll have to wait until we get about 25-30 laps into run here to see who's doing well on tire saving and who's not, and if someone's going to make it work around the top as well.
On board with Chris Hudson, currently sitting in that third position as it stands, and now Hudson was kind of getting a bit up close and personal with a few of these drivers. He was favoring, though, more towards that inside lane. We'll see if that will continue to be the case as we'll get set to go back to green flag racing here. I imagine this coming lap here, I believe it'd be true to green. This should be a quick yellow. We have not had anybody lapped down, bar Tristan Callahan, who started this race from pit road. He is the only driver one lap down. Sure enough, lights go out. It is green flag this time by. So it is Long from Dingle, from Hudson, from Harvey, Seminario, and Stout. We'll round out the first 3 rows as we'll move back to turns 1 and 2. The field stacks up, doubles up, and we get ready to go back racing again. Do you reckon we'll be getting another quick yellow after what we just saw in the opening 5 laps there?
People, they were racing not too aggressively there, and you know, it is, after all, 150 laps they're going to be racing here, and that didn't really come from aggression. It was just somebody getting loose, and now they've, you know, had a couple of laps run on these tires. So I hope at least that we're going to get a few laps in here before they start racing too hard. But you never know, someone might have missed out on qualifying and wants to get up to the front quickly, and that could very well trigger another caution.
Field's going to come around to turn numbers 3 and 4. This time, we'll see what Matthew Long can do in his DSR Mustang from pole position on the restart. Into the Geico restart zone. Green flag back in the air. Matthew Long hightails it, and it's a great launch for Long. Already clear by 3 out of the tri-oval.
Yeah, very good launch there, and Trent Dinkel still had a pretty good launch. Being in second in these restart zone type of restarts is really hard, but he had a good launch, and he will actually clear the 43 of Hudson coming around to turn 2 here. So he's gonna pick up the hunt on Matthew Long, as we see a lot of side-by-side further back. They're side-by-side for 5th, they're side-by-side for 7th, and then 15th on back. Everybody's side-by-side, almost 3 wide. As we see in the background there, the 3 car almost made contact with the car outside of him, and as you can see here across the start-finish line, all the way down to the bottom, to the grass, and then up towards the wall, and then back down to the bottom again, going into the corner. They're literally using every single inch of this track right now.
Every scrap of racing surface being used at the Kansas Speedway as Taylor Stout works to the top lane. Johan Seminario down on the bottom in the fight for 5th. Matthew Long leads the first lap to green. Trent Dingle under fire for that 2nd spot. Hudson thought he might make a look for it down in the turn number 1 off the gains, and that's going to allow Dingle now to set up a move for the outside. The fight is on for the race lead. This field continues to race it out. Trent Dingle works to the inside along. He'll take that one away. Dingle back to the point in the Precision Racing League NASCAR Cup Series.
Yeah, great move there from Dingle, going high in 1 and 2 to get the run onto the back straightaway, then dive down to the bottom. And it looks like the 43 of Hudson might do the same thing here. Looking to the outside now, Matthew Long, as you can see here, all the way up towards the wall. He's going to get a huge run onto the back straightaway. I think he's even going to be up next to him, so he's going to get the outside line into turn 3 and 4 as well. See if he's able to pull around Long here and secure that 2nd position. And we have our pole sitter, Pat Harvey, right behind there as well, but the 43 is going to get clear, and he's up into 2nd place now. He wants to chase back down Trent Dinkel, pick up the battle for the lead. He's getting a huge run here, actually going into 1, closing up quickly, but decides to move up to the top. And Dinkel seems set on running the bottom, so see if he can keep the pace up and maybe drive away here.
It's understandably so, because while he was able to set up the run at the exit of turn number 2, you saw how much it was bobbling up on the top shelf, so this car was a lot more unsettled from the outside. He's going to be looking to keep that car pinned to the bottom. try to get a better run, but look at the run that he can get off the outside line as Hudson pulls right back to the back bumper, and now Dingle has to move up high to cover off the run that Hudson would otherwise be getting. SG Esports has a fight ahead of them as the private label Team Hype crew continues to work the race lead. Down in the turn number 3 and 4. This is one thing that Trent Dingle has been great at all season long, managing the lines. He has his preferred line. Usually it's towards the bottom, but he knows when he has to go up top to try to cover somebody off. At the moment, he's playing defense against Chris Hudson.
Hudson doing a great job here, getting close. He doesn't want too much dirty air though on his front of the car, on the front of his car, as that will upset his tires quite a bit. But maybe he's banking on a caution here before too long, so he can get some fresh tires on that thing. He's getting really close now to Dingle though, and as long as Dingle stays on that high line, Hudson is going to have to make a huge dive to the bottom and try to slide job him off the corner if he wants to have a chance at this lead, because I don't think Dinkle's going to go to the bottom. But here he goes onto the apron, down to the bottom. He might actually send it down now going into turn 1 all the way down to the white line. Not really, actually. He's going to leave a little bit of space, and he is not going to get clear, so Dingle going to get the run back off the corner, and he's going to be clear by the time they get down into turn 3. So Hudson will have to regroup and try again. Actually, he's going to stay next to him, but the run is going to be even bigger for Dingle now coming off turn number 4 here. As I think he might have actually scraped the wall slightly there.
Dingle getting a bit up and friendly with the outside saver barrier. Didn't quite get into it, but he was less than an inch away from it. Dingle is a driver that knows exactly where the fine lines are, but I can tell you right now, even he was kind of checking his mirrors on that one and kind of wondering, how in the world did I not bounce off the wall? Trouble down the back straightaway. We've got some cars down to the apron. I believe that was Mike Witt and Eric Hogg that just had to scramble. No caution, will stay green. They kept it pointed straight, but a wild moment down the back straightaway as we'll continue to observe the race leaders in their dive towards turn number 1 as this race continues to gradually tick laps away. We'll take a look at the PRL RaceSpotTV replay as this is coming off of turn number 2, and watch this wild ride. Contact off the corner. They slide to the inside, and how's that for a save?
Yeah, great job there again, keeping it off the wall. I think Hogg there, who had the inside in the 8 and 9, he just got a little bit too tight off the corner, and you don't really want to lift out. But if you get tight here, you don't really have much of a choice, or you're going to slide out and hit the car outside of you, and then that's going to be the result. You're going to go down. As you can see here, it comes up just a little bit too much. From that angle, it actually looked like the car on the outside might have gotten a little bit loose as well, and been a part of that. But either way, both drivers keep it going straight and only lose a few positions, whereas Hogg drops all the way down to 32nd, so he obviously lost a little bit more. But back at the front is still Dingle from Hudson, and then Matthew Long about half a second behind. But with these two leaders running the top here and everybody else behind them running the bottom, being able to preserve their tires a little bit more, if we go green here until lap 60, when these guys are going to start to run out of fuel, I think we might see these guys who are 3rd, 4th, 5th on back, they're going to be a lot faster than these two at the front, because their tires are going to be that much better. So I think Matthew Long, especially here in 3rd place, he is definitely in the best seat right here, as he's able to run the bottom and just save tires. And I think Dingle want to run down there as well, but he doesn't have much of a choice if he wants to keep the lead, because if he moves down, Hudson's just going to go around him. As we have a battle here for 4th place. They're almost 3 wide coming off the corner.
You look back to the 42. Jose Acosta to the inside of Johan Seminario. Seminario still working the top shelf. In the number 12 Ford Mustang, cosplaying as a Charger. In the RPM Transmissions, PRSsetups.com. Number 12 machine down. Turn number 1 pulls the outside line. Jose Acosta will back out in the fight for 5th. And now Acosta on defense is Byron Johnson, starting from 13th, trying to push this way a bit closer towards the top 5, makes the dive to the inside to go for that 6th spot, while just a little bit further behind, you ride on board with Kibbe in the 199. He's looking on right in that 10th position, right behind the 77 of Joshua Daniels.
You can see all of this unfolding, these guys moving up and down the track, racing each other side by side. Meanwhile, he's just sitting here in 10th place, preserving his tires. And He started in 11th, so he's gained 1 position, but I don't think he's in too much of a hurry to get anywhere here, as he's having a little bit of a look on Joshua Daniels. Daniels moving to the top, so Kibby gonna move to the inside and side by side off the corner, but obviously the outside line gonna have the overspeed, so Daniels gonna hold on to that position as we see the 42 here again. Acosta moving up to the top, dropping back a little bit on the entry. Now he's gonna get a massive run on the 18 coming off the corner. 18 slides up though, as well as the 12 and the 67, so you can't really do much with it. And then Taylor Stouts going back up behind him, side by side again, right in front of him. So this could be where he gets the run when these three start battling in front of him for 4th, 6th, and 7th. 4th, 5th, and 6th. Sorry, Acosta's gonna be able to get involved here and maybe get a position or two. It's almost 3 wide going into the corner again, but the 18 of Johnson decides to back out once more.
Double file, 2 rows deep. Taylor Stout watching in the wings. Johnson and Seminario on the inside. Harvey and Acosta up on the outside. Seminario trying to pull clear for the 4th position. He'll be able to take 4th at the line and believe he will clear this time through into turn number 1. Oh, maybe not, as the 18 thought about going 3 wide. Harvey works at the top shelf. Acosta, you right on board with him. Looking to potentially give the bumper to the 67 car down the back straightaway towards turn number 3. You can tell just how significant the outside run is. Yeah, you're fast on the bottom, you can fend them off mid-corner, but you just got nothing for these guys when they hit the straights.
Yeah, for sure. Harvey now to the outside, and here comes the 18 of Johnson to the inside as well. This time there are going to be 3 wide. Now Johnson backs out again. Just as he's about to get the overlap, he lifts out, trying to preserve those tires, not get too much involved. As here comes Costa around the outside, gets a little bit loose there on the outside of Johnson. That could have ended badly, but 67 of Harvey, our pole sitter, is clear again in 4th place, moving down to the bottom. Now the 18 to the inside of the 12 here. Johnson on Seminario, but Seminario gonna have the overspeed once again on the outside, so he will be clear once more. And you can see a whole train of cars now following Acosta on the outside. With the 66 making a dive to the bottom there, getting ahead of Acosta, but now they will get to run it back on the outside again. But Acosta seems to be struggling with his rear tires as he once more gets loose off the corner. So yeah, I think he might have to change his line here, or he's gonna, people behind him might lose their patience and try to squeeze into the outside of him.
More and more drivers are starting to double up as this field starts to get into tire wear. Begins to steadily more and more creep into the picture. We've been noticing all the bobbling that's been going on around the high side in turns 1 and 2. And I have to wonder if potentially the wind is having an impact on that. We haven't really talked about that a whole lot today, but it's a good 9 miles an hour. Now, when you're going at speeds of 170 miles an hour plus, 9 miles an hour of wind, when it's blowing against the side of your car, that is pretty significant. I think that's why we're seeing the back end of so many of these cars getting loose on the top shelf at turn number 1. One of the fastest points, mind you, on the race course, because that's where the wind is pushing strongest against that left rear quarter panel. Yeah,
that could definitely be one contributing factor to the fact that they're all getting looser, along with high temperature and how aggressively they're actually racing. You can see back here now a lot of drivers migrating up into that top lane. Meanwhile, the 67 here of Harvey's back to the bottom, which has cost him a position to the 12 of Seminario, as well as Byron now coming around the outside. So Harvey playing the long game here, trying to save tires, and we can see a result of that at the front as well, where 2nd place Matthew Long now has not only passed Hudson, who's running the top, but he's also closed in on Trent Dinkle, so we might have a race for the leader in a few laps. But meanwhile, these guys back here, they're still racing. Now Harvey back to the bottom again, covering office here. You can see 2nd place Matthew Long. It was a second back in 3rd not too long ago. But with Dinkle running the top and Long running the bottom, he saved his tires and he's been able to track him down. You can see the 2 different lines they have here. It's going to be hard to pass, but if they keep going like this for another 10-20 laps, he should be able to make that pass happen on the bottom, as Acosta just clipped the wall going into turn 1.
That's going to lose him out to Pat Harvey, and it might lose him out to Abner Acosta, as well as Abner Acosta to the inside of Jose Acosta. Chad Kibbe trying to work his way through as well. Jose Costa pulls the outside. He'll clear Joshua Daniels back down the front straightaway. We start lap number 33. The lap times continue to cycle out. We look to the front where Trent almost gets into the outside wall off of turn number 2 to the back straightaway. He'll hightail it down to turns 3 and 4. Here comes Matthew Long charging for the race lead down the inside. Long gonna pull even. Can he lead at the line? Looks like just able to get that one at the stripe. Leads a lap number 33 by only 0.010 of a second.
Yeah, got a great run there off the corner, but Dinkel, oh, you can see him there on his steering wheel. He's very loose coming off the corner, but he's still able to get the run on Long, who's now sow drafting him down the straightaway, dives to the bottom. Late on the brakes, he's not quite going to get clear, so maybe he will on the exit. Here he comes sliding up, and I think he was clear, but didn't want to go all the way up. So Dinkel now back on the outside again, side by side into turn number 1 again. Obviously Long, he led that lap. Now Dinkel with the overspeed on the outside. Maybe Long is just going to give it back here. He wanted the bonus points. Oh, as Dinkel is loose again, but he's able to straighten it out. He is both these guys right now right on the edge of what these cars can handle. As once again to the bottom is Matthew Long. Once again clear. Will he slide up this time, or will he leave enough space for Dinkel? He goes all the way to the wall this time, and now Dinkel to the bottom. So Matthew Long will have the outside going into turn number 1 this time, as Dinkel is back to the lead again.
Good slide draw there from Matthew Long. Didn't end up leading anything though, and Dinkel can't clear in 1 and 2. Long continues to wreck the high side. And this time, I believe that'll be job done. Not quite. Dinkel still working to the bottom. And now Long will clear over turn number 4. So Matthew Long back to the point. He will continue to log the laps for race number 7 at the Kansas Speedway. Coming back deeper in the field is Byron Johnson. Taylor Stout. Nose to tail for that 5th and 6th spot. Dirty South Racing going up against the RPM Transmissions YS Motorsports Yellow Chevrolet.
Side by side behind him as well here, the 89 again, Eric Hogg. He's making his way back up through the field, getting by the 19 here of Ken Holland. As you probably remember, Hogg had that sideways moment on the back straight earlier in the race, where he dropped all the way down to 32nd. So he's made up a few positions now, up to 26th. Got Chris Summers and Mike Witt in front of him, as we are back on board here, more towards the front of the field with Byron Johnson currently running in 6th position, right behind Tyler Stout. Oh, close to the wall there again, but don't think he got it. So still gonna keep the speed, see if they can if he can make a move here. It's kind of hard to know which way to go as well, because you have to know if you want to move to the bottom or to the top before you get to the corner and make your turn in. So if the car in front of you takes the line that you want to run, you have no choice but to stay behind him, unfortunately, because if you try to change lanes in the middle of the corner, you're just going to end up losing a ton of speed.
Off of turn number 4, Joshua Daniels going to lose out from the top shelf, and he will work to the bottom. And now up to the outside, we'll right on board with Lou Christian. Running in 11th after starting the 19th. He's trying to work his way up to the top 10, but he's got to get around Pat Harvey first. And tell you what, it has not gone Pat Harvey's way so far today. The driver that started up on pole by almost 1/10 of a second, surprisingly floundering here in this race. He has been falling back. He's dropped to 9th, and he has not been able to recover so far. In fact, he just lost out another spot on that last lap. He's now down to 10th and at risk of losing the top 10.
Yeah, he's not really getting that tire. Oh, as the car in front of him gets super loose there. The not 199 of Chad Kibbe got really loose, but yeah, Pat Harvey is not making this tire saving thing work on the bottom unless he can somehow flick a switch and just get super fast here all of a sudden. But he is 6 seconds behind your race leader Matthew Long, as Chad Kibbe still dropping back there, and back with the battle here for with the number 18 battle for 5th and 6th between Stout and Byron Johnson. Johnson sliding up behind him again, not able to get that position. Again here now, the battle for 10th. Kibby, B-Saw Jr. and Christian moving to the bottom, see if he can gain a position. Looks like he's going to get the run on that 3 car, but now the outside lane will prevail, and then back into the corner. Luke Christian, how deep will he be able to dive? Will he be able to clear and slide up in front of the 3? Or is Kibby too close for him to be able to do that? Here he goes, not clear, no. So the outside lane will prevail again, as well as they're getting draft here from the 1 and 99. So not a lot that the 21 can do on the bottom at the moment, unfortunately.
I think part of what got Chad Kibby a bit loose is the fact that he's running that middle line, which is all well and good on the entry to the corner, but then right on corner exit, he tracks up and flips the wall again in turn number 1. And when he gets up towards the outside line, the car unsettles over that little seam in the racetrack, and that's what's hurting him here. As you'll see the 3 of Robert B-Saw Jr. work to the outside. He'll get around Kibby and try to make a run through 3 and 4, but B-Saw Jr. right to the outside wall. And he's going to be followed up by Joshua Daniels, trying to follow in his footsteps. Luke Christian on the bottom of the 77. And at the moment, it's looking like Kibby's middle groove not going to work. He's going to jump down the low side, see if he can't find some more speed.
Yeah, he needs to do something here. The 3 and the 77 both driving around on the outside, so Kibby losing out 2 positions here quickly. See if Christian might move up here as well and try and follow these 2 around as he's back down into 13th. But starting 19th, Kibby has had a pretty good race, gained 6 positions so far. Now see if Kibby will make something happen here. On the bottom, he will not be able to get clear from Daniels, so Daniels should get that position back. But they're staying side by side here. Daniels now is ahead though. The 21 looking like he wants to make 3 wide through the middle, but he's a little bit too far back as the outside lane will prevail here. 199 slides up to cover off the 21 of Luke Christian though. But Daniels made that move eventually, and I think he might be able to drive away now. As we're on lap 47 here, and the tank only lasts 60 laps, so if you want to split this into 3s, I think we'll see cars heading onto pit road pretty soon. And just as I say that, the 3 car is actually on his way onto pit road right here. And the 199 as well.
Big chunk of drivers coming down to pit road. Pit window is open as Christian, B-Saw, Kibby, and Gandy, Skip Gandy as well, coming down to pit road. So a group of 4 down and in for service for the first run of green flag pit stops, just shy of 1/3 distance in tonight's race. Mike Witt going in as well, as is Eric Staropoli. I believe that's going to be it from this lap here this time through. Johan Seminario, the driver out of 3rd place, checking up. He's going to go to the pit road. So it's about to get busy as we get set to reach the 1/3 mark in this race. Johnson, Harvey, as well as Daniels, all in as well. Now, critically on this, remember, they've already pitted once. If they couldn't make it to the 1/3 mark, that's going to put it into big question if this is going to be a 2-stopper or a 3-stopper race.
Yeah, I think they might actually be pitting here because they feel like their tires are too worn out because they've been racing too hard. But with that caution they had, they've only done 43 green flag laps on their tires. So I'm pretty surprised to see them pit this early. I wasn't expecting anyone until like maybe 51 or 52, but they probably feel like they can get the undercut. Now they're going to be faster than the guys who are staying out as more cars head onto pit road. So we'll have to see how it plays out, but obviously now they need to preserve their tires a lot more than they did at the start of the race if they want to be able to make it until the next pit stop, which should be around lap 100. As more cars now heading onto pit road. The 84 are going to head onto pit road this time from a top 5 position. But our top 3 drivers of Long, Hudson and Stout, they're staying on the track as well as both Abner and Jose Acosta, as Trent Dinkel is now on pit road.
You saw way in the background, Jeff Chandler overshot pit road, missed the commitment mark, and I think that's going to be a black flag then for Jeff Chandler. So
another car going around back there.
Yeah, a couple of cars having trouble getting into the pit road, and that one's sideways in the infield. That who is that at the back of the field? That's Aaron Beaver. That's had a spin. He's going to rejoin himself now. Critically, somehow Jeff Chandler did not get a black flag for going super wide around the cone. He managed to get away with that one. Jeff Winter, meanwhile, though, does have a black flag that he will have to serve as he came down the pit road. I believe he was in way too hot, and he was. He was caught going 73 miles an hour on pit entry. Pit road speed here, 45.
Yeah, that's going to be a 40-second hold once his pit stop is done. So that's going to be over a lap lost for him. That's not how he wanted to start his race. So Jeff Winter, his race is pretty much over unless he can get a quick caution here. So he will be 2 laps down at least, I think, considering where he was on the track heading onto pit road, and he's still sitting there as well. But Matthew Long, our race leader, he had great long run speed, and he is still on the track. He's been running the bottom pretty much the whole race, and I think he's actually gonna stay on track until about lap 60 or 65 when his fuel is about to run out. Chris Hudson behind him, though, is heading on to pit road. I think he was right there. So only 2 more cars heading on to pit road after this lap. It's our race leader and Chris Hudson in 2nd place, as well as Joe Hoggard and Charles Sumner, who was running a little bit further back, but they've stayed on track in hopes of a caution here.
Chris Hudson hitting pit road, this time by the number 43 SGE Esports Mustang. So that's one of our final remaining drivers on the racetrack down to pit road. I believe we're still waited on Hoggard, Sumner, Stout just left pit road, as is Acosta, and then we're waiting, of course, on Matthew Long as well still to come down to pit road, who's been really stretching this out. I think at this point, I think you can tell what the strategy's been for a lot of drivers. They've been worried more about the tires than they have about the fuel here, considering how long Matthew Long's been able to go on this one. Drivers decided tires are more important. We're just going to divvy this up here into 2, which then makes me wonder why Matthew Long is going as pun very much not intended on this, why he's going so long on this opening pit stop run. I don't think he can stretch it to halfway, unless you get some insight on that one, but I don't think they have enough fuel for that one.
A fuel run is about 62 to 63 laps, depending on how you run and if you're shifting or not. Obviously, you might have set up the gearing a little bit different, but running it to 75, that's a massive stretch, especially since he's been leading the race. He's been fast, and when Guy started pitting, he had about a 3.5 second lead, but that will be eaten up in about 2 or 3 laps once Guy started pitting. So once he finally decides to pit here, he is going to be buried down in the field, but obviously he will have the fresher tires, and if he can run like he did now, run the bottom, save tires, then obviously he's going to make his way up through the field pretty quickly as he heads on to pit road here, gets it slowed down. Oh, I wonder if he actually got it there. He did not get a black flag, so he actually did get it slowed down. As Joe Hoggard then is the last car that we're waiting for to head on to pit road.
Matthew Long down and into the lane. Joe Hoggard has now picked up the race lead. He was one of the last drivers we are still waiting on to come on down to pit road. I believe he is the last driver we're waiting to come down to pit road as it stands. So we continue to see what the 64 car would do. He has so far been staying up on the racetrack. And this is where it's going to get a bit more interesting, as Hoggard will lead his first lap here of the night, as Matthew Long works his way out of pit road, and he just lost out to 3rd, and now you can start to see him tumbling down the timing order as the drivers that are 1 lap down start to overtake him.
Yeah, he's down to 7th now. He's going to be he's going to be around his battle here for 10th place. There's 3 cars in a bunch coming right behind him, but he's actually going to be able to stay ahead of them. So 8th place is what he dropped down to. And he is only 4 seconds behind Seminario, who is currently in the lead. So he didn't lose out as much as I thought. And there is the caution.
Trouble. Crash for Joe Hoggard, the driver that just left pit road, and he was up in the race lead. We were waiting on him to pit, and I think he actually lost that one on his way down into pit road. So Hogard brings the yellow flag out. He was already making his way down and into the lane, so that's an interesting one.
The question now is how many cars are trapped a lap down behind him because of that?
I don't think there's going to be all that many. A good chunk of drivers unlapped themselves when he spun out because he was the last driver that we had to pit. And everybody else could just stay out to take the waiver under this latest caution period.
Yeah, it looked like P26, all the way down to P26, was able to actually get around him as we get a replay of it here. This is a very hard pit road entry, and he straddles the white line a little bit too much. You don't really want to do that when you get on the brakes. He just loses it and spins out. Thankfully, he was the only car left on the track, because if there was one more car left on the track that hadn't pitted yet, that would have been one car on the lead lap from now.
That's a tough break for Joe Hogard, who's now going to be in a bit of a bad way as a result of that whole mess. It's worth noting, he has not come down to pit. I don't know if pit road's opened or not for him as of right now, but he has stayed out on this last trip around. We've got one car that is low on the racetrack. That is Abner Acosta, I believe fresh out of pit road for the number 5 private label Chevrolet. And it was fresh out of pit road for Abner Acosta, so he's going to be rejoining this field. And I believe might be forced to the tail end as well. You see a few drivers on the pit road, most notably Harvey, Christian, Besaw, Kibbe, Gandy. These were a big chunk of the drivers that were among the first cars come down to pit road about almost 20 laps ago now.
Yeah, they've been able to put on their second set of fresh tires that they had laying on pit road, so they've got 2 more left, and we're not even halfway yet, so a little bit earlier than I think they might have wanted to, but don't think they had much of a choice, to be honest, and this is going to play straight into the hands of our former race leader, Matthew Long, who just came off pit road a couple of laps ago. He will have fresher tires than the guys in front of him, and that gap that he had of 3-4 seconds up to the race leader is going to be gone. He's going to be right behind the race leader, so if he can get onto that bottom and start running the laps that he did, I think we're going to see him have the same big lead of 3-4 seconds once it's time to pit again, unless Trent Dinkle or somebody else can start running that bottom as effective as he did, as we see more cars here on pit road.
Hogard among them, so this is going to put everybody back to, I believe, the 28th position now, back onto the lead lap. As everybody in front of, actually, this is going to get interesting here to see who's all going to be able to get waved around the safety car, but I do believe everybody back to 24th, I believe, will be able to get waved around the iRacing safety car in this one. So it's going to be interesting to see how this is going to work out. There's a lot of cars that have to be waved around, and Race Control has made it clear that if we have to delay this start by 1 lap to get everybody fully waved around and caught back up and sorted, they are more than happy to do so. So we do have that option in the back pocket to extend this caution by 1 to allow this field to get sorted. That's part of one thing that I do like about this league. They are considerate to the drivers that might otherwise be able to not have necessarily an ideal restart here due to just kind of being caught in the big train of cars having to be waved around. As you can see, these wave rounds taking place now, and it's about half the field that's going to have to catch up to the tail end of the pacing line all over again.
Yeah, there was, between the race leader Joe and Seminario and the pace car, there were 16 cars lined up. So 16 cars took the wave around, as well as one other car coming off pit road. So there's going to be a lot of single file at the back of this field, and all these guys, obviously, they'll have to start behind all the lapped cars and everything. So there's not a lot of them at the moment, thankfully. But it looks like down to P27 is now back on a lead lap, so good for them. Everyone from P15 on down had to take the wave around though, so yeah, they're gonna have to try and recover here. So a lot of guys in front of them will have fresher tires, so ideally for them we'd go here 10, 15, maybe 20 laps and then get another caution, so all these guys that took the wave around now can pit and put on fresher tires. All these guys that pitted now will not be able to pit, and that's when things get really interesting, as we are coming to 1 to green here.
I was going to say, you can see the field is doubled up. This was going to be 1 to green, but true to their word, the Precision Racing League administrators opted to extend this caution by 1. That's why the field is doubled up fully. And it's a good thing they did, because just now, the last car that got waved around has caught up to the tail end of that pacing line. Really put into a great emphasis on just how disastrous of a restart this could have been if you had a whole host of drivers flying up on this field. We're still not even halfway deep into your race here tonight of 150 laps. We are almost there, though, on time. Actually, scratch that. I believe we are going to be almost up to the halfway point as of right now. We are close. There's just under 90 laps to go. We're running lap 64, but you can see the timer on the screen. Just under 50 minutes as well. I think with the second yellow flag, that's going to put us dangerously close to reaching that time limit over on the left-hand side of the timing tower.
Yeah, if we get another 2 cautions, we're going to be running very, very close. But like you said, we're not really on halfway yet either. So a couple more cautions and this is going to be run on time. But here we go. Seminario on pole position for this restart. Byron Johnson next to him on the outside, and then Trent Dinkel, who was really fast early on, is going to be starting second on that inside row. Great launch there from Seminario, straight down to the apron though as he gets going, then back up onto the tractor side by side for a second, and again restarting in second place with the restart zone is not ideal because you cannot do anything until the green flag is out, whereas third place can actually try and get a run. They're 3 wide behind though for 6th place, but they single file out there again as I think that's Jose Acosta who had to back out. That was actually the 21 of Luke Christensen as Dinkel is no, he does not get clear of Johnson, so Johnson back on the outside, and there's a lot of 2 and 3 wide going on in this field right now.
A lot of side-by-side battling currently taking place. Byron Johnson working to the outside of Trent Dinkel. Dinkel's falling back to 3rd. Seminario, for the first time all race long, in clean air, up at the front of this field. The RPM Transmission Mustang on board with Matthew Long as Johnson moved up to cover. Get alongside him here for 2nd spot. Oh, and right up across the nose is going to be Johnson. Long again to the middle line, and how's that for some overspeed from an outside line? Look down as Johnson drifting up and nearly puts the 28 into the outside wall.
Yeah, great job there from the 18 Byron Johnson to keep the car down, and I was just about to say Matthew Long has started running up towards the top of the track, but then he gets up to Seminario and he moves to the bottom and he's almost going to clear him, even though Seminario ran the outside. Obviously Johan has the overspeed and the caution is out. Caution is out. There's a crash on the front straightaway.
Oh, big crash on the front straightaway. Tristan Callahan, the driver that started from pit road, has had a big shunt up on the outside wall in the tri-oval. And that's going to put us under yellow flag number 3. Still about 7 laps shy of halfway.
They were 3 wide coming off the corner and ran each other out of space, and 2 cars into the wall, and the third one was able to just keep on going.
It looked like a 3 wide squeeze out of turn number 4. We're going to look at this one here. As you're going to see Abner Acosta goes for 3 wide up the middle, and then Happino just didn't know there were 3 wide on the inside. There's just nothing that Callahan could do. He's going to back that car hard into the outside wall, and luckily only those 3 collected. But a lot of rear end damage, and now the rear deck lid critically that has the aerodynamic spoiler in the back of these cars, that's been dislodged partially on Callahan. It is still attached to the race car, but I saw the spoiler flap up a little bit when that car spun down the racetrack. That's not secure anymore, so that car is aerodynamically compromised on the rear end.
Yeah, he's going to have to go on pit road. I think that's going to be a meatball flag for him. It's not going to be long, but he's definitely going to have to go on to pit road here. In regards to those guys that did take the wave around, I don't think that this is early enough for them to pit, but we might see some of them pitting here anyways. They'll still have a few laps less on their tires compared to guys like Seminario, who's got 21 laps minus the, 7 caution laps that we've had now since they pitted. So still 10-15 lap difference, and actually everybody who took the wave around is now on pit road. So
I'm
we're
not
going to see some
surprised.
fast cars coming up through the field here.
I'm not surprised by that one. A lot of the drivers, I think, would have come down to the latest yellow flag, but the reason why they didn't is because they knew they had to stay out or they would have been trapped a lap down. And they were kind of gambling on them being able to have a caution in the early go. And I think that was a gamble that paid off, because now they're on the lead lap. They've effectively gotten a free pit stop now out of all of this.
Yeah, if you're in a position to get away around, you can't really pit, especially this early in the race. If you can get a lap back, you have to do it. And then I think ideally they'd wanted a few more laps before this caution, but they'll still be on fresher tires and a heat cycle or two less than all the other guys ahead of them. So guys like Richard Pruitt here and Scotty Johnson, who are first among the cars that came off pit road here, actually Richard Pruitt did not take 4 tires. I think he might have just taken 2, because he was only stationary for 6.6 seconds. So that could be one to keep an eye on as well. But some of these guys at the front of the group that just pitted, they're going to be able to gain quite a few positions here, especially early on in this next run.
Still 2 to green. Lights are still on aboard the iRacing safety car. We have about 5 laps to halfway in a 150 lap race, and we are just past halfway now on our time tonight. I still think we have just enough time to be able to make it on the time, time and on laps. But that timer, every yellow flag, it ticks closer and closer, because while we could be running 30-second laps under green, the lap times under cautions easily 1 minute 20, 1 minute 30 plus. And that is where what really slows down a race, right, is when these yellow flags come out. All of a sudden, you spend doing, 3 to 4 laps under a yellow flag, when you could have done 8, 9, 10 up on the racetrack under green.
Yeah, especially on tracks like this one. It's even worse on a track like Indianapolis or Daytona, but they take away a caution lap there. But at a track like Martinsville, which is pretty short, it won't make much of a difference. But here, if you're running a timer and you're getting tight on time, every single caution is going to take away 5, 6, 7 race laps. So it's not ideal, especially if you're back in the pack and want to make your way forward. But as well, that promotes drivers to be even more aggressive, because there's less time for them to get to the front, which is going to promote even more cautions, which is going to make it even worse. So while it ensures that the race does not get too long, it also ensures is that we're going to get some great racing and some aggressive driving. And you can see now Matthew Long here lining up second place on the outside. As long as he can get a good launch here, his tires are 9 laps fresher than Seminario, 9 laps fresher than Byron Johnson, 3 laps fresher than Chris Hudson, and then 7 laps fresher than Trent Dinkle back in 5th. So I think Matthew Johnson could very well be our race leader here within a lap or 2, and after that he's just going to set sail on the field until these guys that just pitted and have a lot fresher tires than him will come back up. But I think he'll be gone by the time they get up there, as we're coming into 3 and 4, getting ready for the restart.
Johan Seminario looking to take us to the green flag, this time by into the Geico restart zone. The timer pops up on the left-hand side, briefly reminding us how close we are, past halfway on the time. We'll see if the laps can equate to that on a long green flag run. Green flag back in the air. Seminario leads the charge to turn number 1 as the field fans out down the front straightaway.
I think 8th place there, might have been 9th. Chad Kibbe on the outside actually got into the wall, turning in towards that turn number 1. It's the bright green bluish car back there behind the 21. That is actually the 67 of Pat Harvey, our pole sitter, who missed the turn into the corner and clipped the wall a bit. But at the front, it's Matthew Long now around the outside of Byron Johnson. He finally got that run after not getting the best of launches. If he can run the top here in 1 and 2, he should be able to get clear, and he's gonna actually get alongside a race leader of Seminario as well, just about. Anyway, Seminario gets a good exit and then moves down to give the draft to his RPM teammate down there on the bottom, obviously not wanting to help Matthew Long at all. But then In return, he's going to give Byron Johnson the dirty air in the corner, which is going to help Matthew Long, who is now clear onto the apron, trying to get a run on the race leader Seminario. Looking to the outside, back to the inside. He goes into the corner, but 12 moves down to block again.
On board with Long as he charges after Johan Seminario. Driving that number 12 car, still keeping on a good launch. Here goes Long, looking for the high side. He'll take it off at 3 and 4, and he's got the drive down the front straightaway. Matthew Long will lead us to halfway. 75 down, 75 to go. As Long goes back to the race lead. Tell you what, that DSR 28 knows where to put that car on the outside line. Contact between the 18 and the driver just above him of Chris Hudson, as Trent Dingle works to the inside of Seminario, takes away second.
Yeah, Dingle moved up from 4th to 2nd there in no time, had a good run around the outside, and see if he's going to move back up there again. We saw earlier in the race, as they're 3 wide behind him, the outside line was fast, but it wore the tires out, and that's why you see the race leader all the way on the bottom. But that's Chris Hudson on the outside, moving into 4th, and now he's moving around Byron Johnson as well, up into 3rd place, as here is the 12 of Seminario, who just a couple of laps ago was in the race lead, and now he's down to 5th.
Seminario falling back down through the field, and you can see Skip Gandy trying to regain some lost ground as well. He was up in the top 10 earlier, lost that one out as a result of the pit stop kerfuffles. But now, the driver that started back in 20th spot is powering back to the front of this field. He's up into 9th, and he's trying to make the run for 8th around James O'Brien, getting right up to the number 33 Chevrolet. Up to the top shelf, it is Jose Acosta, and down to the bottom, Lou Christian. Going to be in a fight for that 6th position, first spot outside of the top 5.
Running that top again, Jose Acosta. We saw him go there earlier in the race. He got quite a bit loose after only like 10-15 laps though, which made him drop back. But again, side by side with Lou Christian, like we've seen so many times in this race, following the 12 on the outside there, Seminario, as Christian gets ahead in the middle of the corner, but then Acosta gets the run on the outside behind him as well. We have James O'Brien moving down to the inside now, trying to make it 3 wide, but Christian moves up behind Acosta instead, now trying to make a line in the middle, but decides better of it and moves him behind O'Brien instead, dropping down into P number 8 there for Christian. As the top 15 now all of a sudden are all single file down the back straight and then into the corner. They're side by side again.
Towards the front of this field, it's getting tight as well, as Trent Dingle side by side with Chris Hudson for that 2nd position, right behind Matthew Long. Hudson has not been allowing for Matthew Long to break away, and neither has Trent Dingle, and Dingle has got to be a bit fuming at the moment in that number 9 car that he cannot get clear of this 43. And how about Long going defensive on both lines, comes up to cover against the 43. Hudson going to move to the top, Dingle going to tuck in line right behind him, and he'll lose out to 3rd as well.
Yeah, he's starting to run this a little bit like Daytona now, Matthew Long. Daytona and Talladega, where you block both lines, you block the bottom in the turns, and then as you get onto the straight, you move up and block the runs. But here comes the 43 of Chris Hudson. Despite having 3 laps more on his tires, he's going to get the run around the outside, and behind him is Trent Dingle as well. So Long could lose 2 positions here in a heartbeat if he's not careful, but the 43 not going to get clear, so he's going to have to run that high line. Now Long on the inside will get his nose ahead again, but he will not get clear on the exit, so the 43 once again going to have a massive run on the outside with the help from the 9 car and the 12 of Seminario as well. Getting back into it. He lost the lead all the way down to 5th earlier, but now a few laps later he's right back again. Behind Long on the bottom as well is Byron Johnson in the 18. So this field, I thought they were going to spread it out now with all the different tire strategies that they had, or different amount of laps on their tires, but they're actually getting closer and closer, so we almost have a 3 wide behind them. A staggered 3 wide at least, with the 18 there in 5th place, moving all the way down to the bottom to block it off.
Side by side again, down to turn numbers 1 and 2. Trent Dingle looking to the bottom. Chris Hudson up on top. Matthew Long dropping back to 3rd. Seminario to the top, side by side again for the lead. Dinkle not going to take this one lying down, but as long as the 43 is pinned up to the outside wall there, I don't think Trent Dinkle's going to have anything for him. Chris Hudson, I think one of the only drivers that's as good as Dinkle as running that outside lane, as he will start to log laps up at the front of his SGE Esports Mustang.
On board again here with Matthew Long, still running that bottom lane. It's costing him positions here and there, but I think he's playing the long game again. So give it another 10 laps and you'll see him do exactly what he did earlier. As actually Byron Johnson now gets to be inside of him here. Maybe he's trying to move up, or Johnson might have just forced it in there as they're side by side for the lead again. Long will not get clear of Johnson going into turn 1 though. So they're going to stay side by side for 4th place as Dinkle here making a move on Hudson, but Hudson gets clear coming onto the back straightaway again for the lead, and Long will get clear as well for 4th as you see a push there from Seminario on Trent Dinkle to try and get him a little bit closer to the leader of Chris Hudson, who actually looks like he's got a lot of pace in that 43 car. Don't know if he's going to be able to pull away though, because the draft is pretty big around here, but if he can stay on that top line and not get too loose before it's time to pit again, he's in a good position, because if you want to pit with 50 laps to go, which is an ideal number if you want to make it to the end without risking running out of fuel. I mean, we're only 14 laps away from the pit window being open. Technically you could pit in 5 laps and still make it, but I think that would be a little bit too early.
Seminario looking to the top shelf, trying to pull around Matthew Long and pick up 3rd, and he will do so. So Seminario on a good run down to turn numbers 3 and 4 as Long moves down to cover off Byron Johnson. It's going to cost him time on the exit of 4 here. 62 laps to go. The laps starting to fall away here from Kansas Speedway. We're going to go 3 wide. We're going to try it. Johnson to the back bumper. Matthew Long moves the 28 car and almost sends him into the inside wall. Blocking again. Trouble. Oh, big crash. Johnson hard into the outside wall. He's going to get slammed in the rear end.
Oh, the big wreck behind him as well.
We're wrecking big time in turn numbers 3 and 4. It's the big one with several cars collected. And all of this starts from a bad block down the back straightaway that sees James O'Brien turn Byron Johnson.
There was a big wreck behind those guys. He had it, he just put it in defense and kept going, but then for some reason they reacted behind. Somebody checked up, somebody else did not, and they just stacked up a ton of cars back there in the field.
The main wreck in the background started when Eric Papineau jammed on the brakes because the field was scrambling in front of them. Troy Torgerson ran to the back of the 37, and then Taylor Stout took a wicked hit to the outside wall, along with Waldo Waddle. And this is how it started, right there, and that's a huge lick into the outside wall right there. And I feel bad for, I think that was the 42 of Jose Acosta got collected. You see the 26 of Witt get involved as well. And then this happens way in the background. Look for the 37 machine. I think it's already been spun sideways at this point in time. He got helped around by Troy Torgerson. As you can see, yellow flag pit stops underway on the bottom right hand of your screen. So it happened well behind the 18, but all of this, regardless, was started up by the 18 to put to the outside wall, because that's what caused this field to overreact behind. And like you mentioned perfectly, some drivers checked up, other drivers had no idea what was going on in front of them. They didn't slow down for anything.
Yeah, the 97 of Aaron Beaver as well did a heck of a job getting through there. He got 2 wheels on the apron sideways through the whole thing and did not hit a single car. So great job by him getting through there in the 97. He is, I believe, 1 lap down in 23rd. Oh, he's actually moving way up the order now. So I think he might have actually got to lucky though. Maybe he was right on the back of the lead lap there. I'm not really sure, but he's caught up back up to the field. He's on the lead lap now. So he did a great job avoiding everybody there. But yeah, pretty much the whole field went onto pit road there. Tom Mazi stayed on the track though. He's got 21 laps on his tires, so I'm not sure if he's planning on pitting this time by. There was one car going onto pit road, and that was Tom. So everybody on the lead lap has now been on pit road. As here we go on board with Aaron Beaver. Have a look at this.
Driving the 97 machine, you're going to see this wreck develop in front of him. Right there, you see Torgerson, Hook, Papineau, and cars hard to the outside wall, and clips the apron and the transitioning, and just able to wrestle that car back underneath him and get himself rolling. It was a great job there to get around him in that 97 machine. Could have been a lot worse for Aaron Beaver, as he manages to escape that wreck unscathed. Now, critically, with 59 laps to go, I think this is going to eliminate the possibility that this race comes to a close on laps. I think it's going to be a timed race from here to the end. So we got under half an hour remaining. I don't think you can fit in 60 laps in that amount of time.
Yeah, we have 58 laps to go this time by. We're still under caution, and the lap is 30 seconds in qualifying. So 29 minutes. There is literally no way to finish this on laps unless they were to go green now, which they are not, as we're still, I think it's 2 to go this time, so we should come down to one to green here. We could get close if we go green. We might miss only like 1 or 2 laps, but it's definitely going to be a timed race now, so we're racing the clock from here on out. So every caution is going to take away a few laps, so it makes it very hard for the drivers as well to set up the strategy. Obviously, I think everyone has one more set of tires, but the question is, when do you take it? Because if you know, okay, it's 50 laps to go, you can say, okay, I'm going to take it at like 20-25 laps to go if there's a caution. But if there's time, you could have 10 green flag laps to go, or you could have 40. You just don't know. So it's I think we're going to see strategies being all over the place here if we get a caution in, say, 15-20 laps.
It'd be tight if we were to make it on time, but I think we have just little enough that we would not be able to get back there in time. I think we would probably have, I think though at this point we'd have less than 10 laps to go by the time we reach that checkered flag, but it's all but confirmed that this race will be a timed race as we come to the conclusion of caution flag number 4, I believe this is now, as we will get set to take this back to the restart. This is, caution flag number... This is number 4. We're coming to the conclusion. I forgot the one that happened on lap number 5. Green flag back in the air. Chris Hudson hightails it in the run down towards turns 1 and 2. Immediately jumps up to cover Seminario, but that opens up the door for Dingle to get ahead of steam down to the bottom. And here comes Seminario looking for 3 wide for the race lead. Dingle's going to win out of that one, going 2 for 2 in turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, the 43 there, Hudson, he just went way too high. He didn't get a best of launches, as here comes the 12 of Seminario to the inside of Trent Dinkle. Dinkle obviously looking for his 4th win of the season, but Seminario wants that win. He's going to go all the way down to the grass. Now watch him swing all the way almost to the top. He's going to have to leave 1 width at least for Dinkle. So was that wall contact from the 43 there? I think he might have brushed it slightly, as Dinkle is now back on the outside, and he will edge ahead going into turn number 3. Will he get clear though? The 12 going to send it onto the inside. 9 going to keep it down. Ooh, he pinches him to the bottom. That will allow the 43 to get around the outside though, and he's going to try and force it 3 wide. The 9 goes down to block though, gives him a push, so the 9 will stay in the lead. Great run there from Dinkle, as Hudson tries to find a way past both of these guys.
Chris Hudson working to the top. Seminario on the bottom. Dinkle pulling away with the race lead, but never enough to be able to ever fully break clear from that draft. This has been such a draft-heavy race all night tonight. It is going to continue to be so throughout the last 25.5 minutes of your 7th installment of the Precision Racing League NASCAR Cup Series on this Saturday night. Hudson to the top. Seminario going to file right in. Sunday night, as I'll correct myself with that one. It's been a long weekend at this point for me. I still think it's Saturday for some reason, as Hudson to the top shelf. He again tries to establish a run on Trent Dingle, and he's got it side by side for the race lead.
Once again, here comes Hudson on the outside. How deep will he send it into the corner? He's almost clear of Dingle going into the corner. Then obviously Dingle has the advantage of the inside line, but the 43 will get clear, and he is into the race lead. Dingle dropping back quite a bit. Here comes Seminario as well, giving Dingle a push, though. Does not want to move to the inside. They're all running the top now, and then behind him, again, Matthew Long running that bottom line, doing great job saving tires. So if this goes green, Matthew Long will be a threat. But I think in terms of Matthew, I think his car is just set up for long runs. Sorry, so if we get short runs at the end, I think it's going to be Hudson, Dingle, and Seminario fighting for the win here, as the 12 is on the bottom again, but it gets cleared on the exit of the corner. So Chris Hudson opening up a little bit of a gap there at the front of the field. But the question is he going a little bit too fast?
Still alongside with Pat Harvey, Mike Witt, and Robert Besaw Jr. as the field fanning out down the back straightaway now in towards turn numbers 3 and 4. Skip Gandy will lose out on the 8th position. Put Mike Witt now up to 7th. This field works its way around and Witt into the outside wall. That might cost him the 7th spot again as Gandy works at the bottom. In fact, that's only going to help him out here as Luke Christian loses out on 6th. Christian struggling on, I think, older rubber here. Gandy works the inside, goes from top to bottom, but Christian trying to cover him down and force him against the inside line and the apron.
Yeah, Witt has a massive run on the outside. He is still going as well now, right on the back of James O'Brien for 5th. As O'Brien moves up now, Witt gonna have to go to the bottom. He's been running the top ever since the restart, but this time he has to move down. Will not be able to do much down there. As the 21 back here as well, right in front of our pole sitter actually. Pat Harvey is now back down to 9th. Luke Christian started 19th, so he's had a lot better day than the pole sitter did. And you can see how tense he is working the wheel here, trying to make his way forward. But you still need patience because there is still over 20 minutes to go, 22 and a half. So that is about 42, 43 laps of racing still to be done here. So you do not want to wear your tires out too early, especially if we go green the whole way. You need those tires to last. I thought we was going to see some contact there.
Dingle in a side-by-side battle with Hudson for the race lead. Hudson working to the top. Dingle still looking to defend from the bottom, but it's Hudson to lead. Lap 103 as Trent Dingle's got nothing for him. And how about that? A huge lunge for Seminario, trying to go top to bottom on Dingle, but Dingle moving to the top to try to build momentum out, see if he can't steal that lead. Right back. It's been one heck of a drive so far for Trent Dingle. He has been all over the shot, but for the most part, he's been inside the top 5, same for when he was in pit road, and he is showing no signs of giving up this fight for the race lead anytime soon. As Chris Hudson's number 43 Mustang continues to hightail it around the high banks of the Kansas Speedway. Back down to turn number 1. The private label, Team Hype Chevrolet of Trent Dingle keeps working the outside. I love the Kansas Speedway so much. It's such a unique style of race on a mile and a half that the other mile and a half tracks like Texas, Chicago, and Vegas, they wish they had racing as compelling as what we got here.
Yeah, the fact that you're able to use every single lane all the way around the racetrack is just amazing. And as you can see, they're fast all the way down the bottom, all the way up to the top, in the middle, everywhere. As you saw there on the last lap, Matthew Long had a massive run on the bottom, was able to get back 3rd place. As Trent Dingle is back in the lead now, but with the outside run, Chris Hudson will get it back on the straightaway. Then Dingle down to the bottom, gets the run again, and here comes Matthew Long. He started running the top now. Might want to get involved here as They were really close to Wooler, but I don't think they got it. The 43 back to lead again. Here comes Long up the middle. They're going to be 3 wide into turn number 1, but Dinkle is not going to leave him enough space. Not sure who was to blame right there, but Matthew Long really showing that he wants to get up there. Hudson on the outside again will get the run, and they're side by side for first, side by side for third. Long back to the inside again. Seminario really close to the wall, trying to set up a run. And with 3 cars on the top, that's definitely going to help Long. He's going to go from third to first in that corner, and he's going to lead this lap. Maybe not, actually. See who had it at the line. That was the 43 by 7/1000ths of a second, but Long now on the bottom again in 1 and 2. And we've gotten far enough into this run that the 28 of Matthew Long and his bottom line speed has now gone above the top line speed of these other guys as he gets clear and is into the race lead. And I think it's bye Matthew Long, and see you on the next caution.
On board here with Matthew Long as he was making that move for 3 wide up the middle in towards the run down to turns 1 and 2. Made that contact with Trent Dinkle, and Dinkle was just able to pull out clear, and somehow we don't have caution flag number 5 as Matthew Long will now log laps up the road instead as he eventually made the move down to 3 and 4. Went 2 for 2, said see you later. But once again, just like every leader before him in this race, the easy part's getting to the lead. The difficult part, hanging on to it for more than 5 laps. As once again, Dinkle looking to go on offense, getting that momentum from the high lane right by the wall.
Matthew Long started running the top after he got the lead. I'm not really sure why, but he's ventured back down to the bottom now. Maybe just trying to get a little bit of a gap to Dinkle, but he's faster running the bottom, so he should just stay down there. Obviously, Dinkle gets to run off the corners, but if Long is able to increase it by half a car length every single corner, eventually he's going to be far enough ahead. As we have some... No, actually, I thought it was going to be a move for third, but Seminario thought better of it, and that ends up putting O'Brien on the inside of him instead. As you can see right there on the bottom of the screen. Oh, big racing going on here for third, fourth, and fifth, as Dinkle has a look on the outside, but he's not close enough to do anything to Long just yet. But he's getting closer, so we might see something happen. And as Seminario is dropping back here, I think he might have had some contact with the wall and lost out to Skip Gandy as well, who's now entered the top 5 conversation. Car in the wall there as well. That might have been the 43 of Chris Hudson, I believe, as they're once again side by side into the corner. James O'Brien on the bottom now moving up into third place. Will he get clear off the corner? He will. Does not take advantage of that though. Leaves the lane on the outside for Chris, but is still going to be clear. Now Hudson is right behind him into the corner as we have the battle for the lead. Trent Dinkle on the inside. He is clear of Matthew Long coming off the corner, and Trent Dinkle is back into the race lead.
Not for long. Matthew Long cutting back down the back straightaway. He'll dive it into turn number 3. Long going back to the point of the DSR Mustang. Dinkle going to tuck it line. Is it going to be a slide job of a 4? He's just going to get clear. Dinkle though with the charge, with the draft, pulling alongside. Long hangs on to the lead. That time by at the stripe. But Trent Dinkle not giving up easily. He works to the outside, and this is starting to reel in drivers like James O'Brien once again. The top 2 have broken away by a good 0.8 of a second as time continues to slowly tick away. Under 15 minutes remaining as Long back to the bottom. Dinkle looking to cover. And it's going to be Long to use every scrap of paper that he possibly can. He'll get back to first as we hit turn 1.
He's clear as well. The question is, will he be brave enough to slide up here? He will, as Dinkle gets a little bit sideways off the corner. Now Dinkle looking back to the bottom, but he stays behind, moving up towards the top lane. He's going to take the middle here in 3 and 4. That's not an ideal line, but he's going to stay on the back of Matthew Long at least. And these 2 guys racing like this back and forth have to be careful not to wear out that right front tire, because that is the first tire that goes away on this car when you're racing like this, moving up and down the track. And James O'Brien is loving what he's seeing, not at the moment that they're single file, but when they're racing back and forth, James O'Brien is loving this in the 33 back there, because he is reeling these guys in. He is now 8/10 of a second, I believe, behind the race leader, 6/10 of a second behind Dinkel. So he's definitely getting closer, as you can see the battle behind him here for 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th as they're side by side for P7 here with Hogg and Bezaw Jr. Eric Hogg, who we remember, he had that spin on the back straight earlier in the race, nearly got into the inside wall. The caution did not come out. He has just made his way up into 7th position. What a rebound from him.
Been such a rebound for a few of the drivers down in this field, and of course the efforts that everybody in this field has put on to give us this amazing show cannot be understated. And for so many drivers, I think they're in positions that they didn't expect to be in spots this good, like Eric Hogg 32nd to 7th, Skip Gannon 20th to 5th. You'll look at James O'Brien 16th to 3rd. I don't think a lot of drivers expected to have the races as good as they've been having so far here today, but I'm sure that none of the guys in this field are going to be complaining about that in the slightest. I mean, it has been a great showing from so many drivers tonight, and so many on the up and up. I think the first driver to really lose out was Pat Harvey. Started this race on pole. We expected him to be near dominant in tonight's race. Falling back, though, to outside the top 5, has not managed to recover since. So Harvey, it's going to be a day to forget, I think, in the number 67 SGE Esports Pioneer Toyota Camry.
Yeah, he's not had the best of days, unfortunately, but still time to recover here, as we've got about 23 and a half minutes to go, so still quite a bit. Oh, actually 13 minutes to go, sorry. So about 25, 26 laps left of racing, so still a lot that can happen, and a caution here would change things up drastically, as that would put him on a short sprint to the finish. But at the front, it is still Matthew Long from Trent Dinkel and James O'Brien, who is now closing in, as we see the 89 here making another move on the 8 car, trying to get into the top 5, and he's got great speed in that car right now, Eric Hogg. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe that the only guy in the top 5 at the moment who has a win this season is Trent Dinkel, so we might be looking at a first-time winner for the season. Oh, as there's contact, the 8 goes in the wall, the 12 is around. Seminario is out of this race as Gandhi clips the wall, and the 12 has nowhere to go. I wonder if he collected somebody else in that as well, or if everyone was able to avoid him. But the caution is out with 12 and a half minutes left of this race, so we will have about a 15-lap sprint.
That is such a massive shame for Johan Seminario. He was doing so well. He was getting set for a top 10 finish easily, and no fault of his own, nowhere to go. And Seminario is the driver that really gets screwed out of all of that. When you take a look at the replay, and there's the end of the wall, and Seminario runs into the back of him, spins it around, tags the outside wall again. But good news, no damage at all on Seminario. It wasn't quite a save. He did tag the outside wall, but overall, that car almost completely unharmed. He'll be able to easily get back on some fresh rubber and try to punch his way through this field, but he's going to be on borrowed time in doing so with less than 10 minutes to go when we take the green flag.
Yeah, unless he took some sort of a hit in the wall there to the front tire, which might have bent the steering, I think he's going to be fine. These cars are all like tanks if you hit them the right way into the fence. Obviously, he's going to be about around P20 somewhere. He's not going to be up front, but he's going to have he's going to have a chance to get back at least close to the top 5, but he's definitely going to have to send it, which pretty much everyone is here. As you can see, the race off pit road, Trent Dinkel beats Matthew along by about a car length, and then we have James O'Brien. I believe Chris Hudson was 4th, and Eric Hogg now into the top 5 unless there is any penalties handed out. So Eric Hogg going to get started on the inside as well. Started 32nd, had that spin early on when he got turned to the apron. had to recover, almost being a lap down, and now he is up into the top 5. What a day he has had. So Johan Seminario, he will rejoin the track in P20 here. He did not stay on pit road to make any significant repairs to that car, so I would believe that he feels like his car is good enough to race with. So we'll have to keep an eye on him and see how far up the field he can get. But again, everyone's going to be on full send mode here with about 10 to 15 laps to go. So I don't think it's going to be easy for him, especially with how much of the track you can use. There's going to be a lot of 2 and 3 wide action going on.
Jose Costa and Tom Amasi are going to be waved around the safety car here when we get to 1 degree. We have less than 10 minutes remaining, and I believe it'll be 25 laps to go when we take things back to the restart. This is now a timed race. Trent Dinkel and Matthew Long, though. Honestly, I think it's gonna be one of them. They have been battling like a dogfight all race long for that race lead. And out of all the movers and shakers that have come and gone for the race lead, these two have been the most consistent. And once the run settles in, it is always these two left alone to duke it out every couple of laps up in front. Now, I think the big question I have for you here, Linus, is which one do you think is going to come out on top? Dinkel's got wins before he has the season, but I think Long's proven he is very much capable of going for a race win and keeping Dinkel at bay.
Yeah, he's definitely proven that he's got the long run speed and is able to keep the tires on it. But now with this run going down to, well, 10, 12, 15 laps, I'm not sure how much pace he's got. Obviously, he has proven that he can keep up with Dinkel early on and he can pass him. So Long is definitely going to be able to put up a fight, but I think on the short run Dinkel has the slight advantage of that outside line because the inside line doesn't come in until after a few laps. So it's going to be interesting to see how well Long can hold on to the outside. But don't forget, James O'Brien, Chris Hudson in the 33 and 43, they're there as well, and the 43 definitely has shown some great speed on the short run. Pat Harvey, our pole sitter, is up in 6th again. So he qualified on pole. His short run pace is obviously fast. And then there is Eric Hogg, who's now back up into 5th. He's driven up through this entire field. What's to say he can't go back up another 4 positions? But my money for this restart, I believe, would be, since he's on pole position as well, I think Trent Dinkel might actually be able to control this race.
Trent Dinkel takes us to the green flag with what might be the final restart of the night. 7.5 minutes on the clock. Dinkel hightails it down in turn 1. James O'Brien immediately gets between Long and Dinkel in the battle for the race lead. He picks up 2nd. Long slots to the inside for 3rd. While up on top, Chris Hudson and Eric Hogg side by side for 4th and 5th. Already, Long making the move for 2nd. We're going to go 3 wide behind them in towards turn numbers 3 and 4. Luke Christian on the bottom, Kibbe in the middle, Besaw Jr. up on top. Off of turn number 4, the field condenses, but we survive our first lap to green. Long, meanwhile, still trying to make the move on O'Brien for that 2nd spot to get back up there with Dinkel. O'Brien to the inside, going for the race lead.
There was a car in the fence a bit further back as well, but it seems like everyone's able to keep on going there. Now Dinkel has a little bit of a gap, but will James O'Brien be able to get close enough as Long goes to the bottom again? But I don't think he's going to be able to get the run. It's a little bit too early and on fresh tires, so he's going to need a few laps before the bottom line is going to work for him. He will have to move up to the top if he's going to have anything for Trent Dinkel here, or James O'Brien for that matter, as Hudson comes around Hogg on the outside again now for 4th place. See who will come out on top right there, as they both want to get by Long as well, but 43 now with the overspeed on the outside will hold on to 4th place. Hogg on the bottom goes tight in the turn, as does Dinkel and O'Brien in front of him. That could be the chance for Long to get a little bit closer, but still side by side for 4th here, with Hogg on the inside and Hudson on the outside. And here comes Long on the outside around the 33 of James O'Brien. Finally back up into second place. Now all he's got in front of him is Trent Dinkle as he gets cleared on the back straight. Here comes the 43 as well. And our pole sitter Harvey makes a move to the inside of Hogg as well. Everybody's making moves now. Everyone's desperate. As Long goes to the inside of the 9, slides up, but just leaves enough room. 43's dead close to the wall as well. Now Long is going to have to move up and block Hudson if he doesn't want Hudson to get a run. Hudson tries to move down, but there is O'Brien. There's 5-6 cars now battling for the race win here with only 5 minutes left to go.
5 minutes on the clock. O'Brien back to the bottom, making the move for that second spot, while Matthew Long charging for the race lead, side by side with Trent Dinkle on the turn number 4. Dinkle running to the top, pinching Long down into the apron. They almost made contact on the edge of the tri-oval. Long able to just pull clear as you ride on board with Eric Hogg in the dive down towards turns 1 and 2. It's almost nothing between the top two. Torgerson sets the fast lap of the race, but up front, Dinkle with the run up top. Long with the run down on the bottom as we close in on the conclusion of this race. Less than 5 minutes to go.
And that means as well with how long the cautions are here, the next caution will end the race. So being up front here is very critical because any minute now a car could get sideways, which could bring out a caution. So Long cannot wait. Even if he knows there's 4 minutes left to race, he can't wait for 7 laps because a caution will ruin everything for him, which I think is why he's trying so hard to get up there. You can see some pushing going on here as well as Eric Hogg to the bottom again, back into 4th place momentarily, but the 43 will get the speed on the outside, as will the 33 as O'Brien moves back into 3rd. Here comes Hudson, going to be back into 4th, I believe, as Hogg comes up the track, almost collects O'Brien there in the 33. As 3 wide now, up through the middle comes Besaw Jr. with Harvey on the bottom, and they're 3 wide behind them as well. So 3 wide for 5th, 3 wide for 8th. Everyone's scrambling. As here we go, car turned around, cautions out, and I believe Trent Dinkle has won the races. Everyone gets involved in that.
I believe that's going to be it. We don't have enough time to get a restart in, and that is a monstrous wreck down in the turn numbers 3 and 4. That was pushing too aggressively. Eric Hogg was pinching O'Brien in. O'Brien went to turn in, and the whole field collected as a result in the biggest wreck we've seen so far tonight. 3 minutes remaining. Dinkle, the leader, and Matthew Long down in 2nd. Both these drivers are going to be livid with the fact that they cannot battle that one out.
Yeah, that was Hogg definitely put up a good fight, but with 2 minutes 40 seconds left, there's not going to be enough time as we get a replay here. And I believe Hogg coming into turn 3 was on the inside, and the 33 wasn't just turned down when Hogg was slightly on the inside and hooked across his nose. It's, you know, it's a racing deal. You can see here he turns down and gets spun around. It wasn't quite clear. I think you might believe it was, but it's unfortunate. And then pole sitter gets involved in that, and a lot of other cars just slams right into it. There's nowhere for them to go. But it's a few minutes to go. Everyone wants to get what they can. No one's gonna give an inch, and that unfortunately tends to happen. But Eric Hogg though, 30 seconds, spinning on the back straight like we said so many times, he's gonna finish this race in 3rd place as it is right now if this race finishes on the yellow. As we see Trent Dinkle here, even if he probably knows that it's gonna be over, you can never be sure until that white flag is flown before you get the 1 to green. You never know with iRacing. There might be a 1-lap shootout here, depending on the time, but I believe race control is officially
still.
If we get the green flag with 1 lap to go, they're gonna do the shootout. But if they get the green flag coming to the checker, they're gonna call the order as it is.
They have, I believe you were listening into the race control message there from Charles Sumner as well. I think we were both kind of listening into that one, kind of on the same tune there. 1 minute left to go, though. I don't think this is going to go back green, and if it does, it'd be a 1-lap dash, I reckon. It kind of depends. It's very hit or miss.
It's 2 laps at least to green, so it's going to be white flag next time, so the race is over.
Yeah, race is over. Running order under the yellow flag is the official one. Trent Dinkel will be unofficially your race winner as of right now. Matthew Long picks up second, and oh boy. I think Dinkel, you can tell, has been sweating bullets a little bit in that machine as he's had to put the work in for this race. He has not been able to run away nearly as much as he was earlier.
Yeah, when this race went green, Matthew Long was driving away from him. And I think Dinkel was even down to 3rd there at one point, just before that second caution came out on the first run. So, or before even the green flag pit stops. He was Matthew Long had run away with the lead, and Hudson was right there with Dinkel as well. So it was never going to be an easy run for Dinkel today, unfortunately, for him. But then in the end, you know, we get a bunch of short runs, and he just shows what he's made of. And Trent Dinkel is undoubtedly, I think, one of the faster guys in this series, both on long and short run. But when it comes down to cautions like this, there is no stopping him. Apparently, four wins in, is it 6 starts on the season?
Final lap here in this one. This will be interesting to see here because they are doubling up, right? Which means this pace car is going to pull in this time by. The race will technically go green, which means technically we will have a very brief drag race to the line. So the running order, not quite official. That's been the word for race control. Once that green flag drops, it's all bets are off. This race not quite over. We'll get one more, not one more lap, but one more half a straightaway, I guess. So if Long is going to get this one, he's going to have to time this restart flawlessly. But I doubt there's going to be anything that comes out of that one. So Dinkel, I'm still expecting to be the race winners. We'll come around through turn numbers 3 and 4. Pace car will pull down for the final time. Well, it'll be a ceremonious green flag. Who am I kidding? But it'll be a green flag nonetheless at the Kansas Speedway. And it'll be green and checkered together. As time has expired, out of the 150 laps, we'll get in 137 of them. As Trent Dinkel going to be the race winner at the end of round number 7 at the Kansas Speedway. What a race.
I don't think there was a single position change on that restart, so in the end I think the order came out pretty correct anyway. But yeah, Trent Dinkel, what a driver. Even when people are driving away from him, he's keeping his cool, goes on pit road, gets those tires and starts over, and somehow always finds a way to the front. And I mean, there's a reason he's leading this championship and has now 4 wins as early as he has. So if he does not win this for him to not win this championship, I think it's going to take a miracle.
Trent Dinkel going to burn it down on the front straightaway in his private label Team Hype number 9 Chevrolet Camaro is a race winner again in the Precision Racing League NASCAR Cup Series, and the gap in the points lead only extends as he's in a position now to be able to potentially lock this championship out come Texas for race number 9. We'll take a look at your official post-race results here in this one, as it is Eric Hogg to take the race win over Chris Hudson. Robert Besaw Jr. rounds out the podium. Skip Gandy and Troy Torkelson
I'm not
be rounding out the top 5 with
happened to that result, but that's not right, is it?
Not quite, as yes, okay, so we have gotten confirmation. The results are a bit funky with the black flags that have been handed out after the race as a result of that kind of late race restart. So these are not the official results. I haven't been provided with an official list. So it is Dinkel from Long, Hogg, Hudson, and Besaw Jr. for the top 5. Skip Gandy in 6th, Torgerson 6th, Christian 7th, Papado Seminario, Johnson. Seminary rounded out the top 10. Then it's Scotty Johnson, Joe Hogard, Charles Sumner, Rusty Robinson, Tristan Callahan, Aaron Beaver, Jose Medina, Mike Witt, Jay McDonald, and Ken Aylen for the top 20. that it is Jeff Chandler, Jeff Winter, and Richard Pruitt for the last drivers on the lead lap. For they have Rafael Rodriguez, Tom Amassi, Joshua Daniels, Chad Kibbe, James O'Brien, Pat Harvey, Jose Acosta, Eric Staropoli, Byron Johnson, Walden Walden, Taylor Stout, and Abner Acosta. So apologies, obviously the black flags do tend to throw a wrench into the mix, but we were given the official results. We can thank Nick Hunter behind the scenes for that one, for providing us with that official running order that we could give to you. We'll get a chance to talk to you all of your podium finishers here, or at least the top two. We'll start things off first with race winner Trent Dinko joins us again, and it is victory lane once again for the private label team pipe number 9. But oh boy, Trent, this one didn't come easy. Matthew Long made you work for this one tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, Matt he deserved that one. That dude drove right away from me the one time we had a long run, but after the few officials I did this week, it seemed like after that first caution, all hell just broke loose. So I knew that our car was pretty damn quick on the short run, because I could just go up top and, lift a little bit and then just full throttle it and be out of there. But I was still worried. I have not seen somebody run the bottom like that and that fast in a while. So he definitely probably deserved that one, but I'm definitely not gonna not take another win. So
oh boy, what a race it was for you. Obviously not quite the way we were hoping to see this race end. We were hoping to see you and Matthew Long duke it out in the closing laps there, and of course you really lucked out, passing them right at the buzzer as that final yellow flag comes out. Kind of walk us through what it's like to see that yellow flag come out right as you pick up the race lead and then realize you've just won yourself another race.
Well, unfortunately it does happen a lot in PRL. So once it gets to if we have a caution with 10, 12 minutes to go, you just got to go full tilt until the race is over and just hope that you can pick up spots. And I knew at Kansas that starting on the outside was just absolutely brutal. So I got super lucky that I came out in front of the pits, or came out of the pits in front of them. And yeah, that was not the easiest win ever, but it was definitely fun. That was a lot of fun the last 10 minutes of that race.
We look forward in the championship. You extend the points lead exiting tonight, but when we get set to close things out at Darlington in Texas, it's looking like you have the potential to wrap up this championship by the time we swing down to the Lone Star State, or at least by the time we leave the Lone Star State and set things up for America's Home for Motorsports. So why don't you kind of walk through the plan here for Darlington, Texas, see if you can't secure this one before the season finale?
Well, Darlington has to be the worst track that I am absolutely terrible at that track. So, and we're doing alternate paint schemes for, throwback week, and I'm superstitious because every time I've ran a throwback paint, I'm just get absolutely junked. So, we'll see how that goes. But if I can just make it to Texas, I'm against the crowd, but Texas is my absolute favorite place to race. So, if I can get there, and have a decent setup, I have no doubt that, I can go toe-to-toe with Matt. And then, unfortunately, Charlotte's not another one of my strong tracks, but as long as I can just, keep Matt from winning and I finish decent, I think, it's a pretty good just to kind of cruise to the end of this season.
It's going to be, hopefully, an easy time for you and the rest of the championship, as you're going to be set to potentially lock things out by the time we leave the Texas Motor Speedway. But for now, you'll have to look forward to the Darlington Speedway and the Lady in Black. We'll see if you can tame the track that's been too tough to tame, or we'll be seeing some Darlington stripes on that number 9 machine by the time we leave North Carolina. Thanks for joining us up here tonight. Congratulations again on the race win.
Thanks a lot.
I was Trent Dinko joining us up here in the broadcast booth, so I'm going to correct myself real quick and say Darlington is in South Carolina, not North Carolina. We'll move down to second place in your race tonight. It is going to be, we're not going to move down to second place tonight, as it doesn't look like we have Chris Hudson able to join us here tonight, nor do we have Robert Besaw Jr. We do, though, have the likes of Eric Hogg, who finished this race still kind of in a relatively smooth position, but obviously not quite where he was expecting. You're going to be standing by then, Linus, with Eric Hogg in the number 89.
Eric Hogg, what an eventful race you had tonight. How does that feel? Starting in the back, spinning out on the back straight, and then somehow finishing up in 3rd place. Talk us through how your race went there.
Oh man, it was so up and down. I mean, struggling last week at Dover like I did, bringing out the only caution, self-spinning, was not feeling good, and actually coming into this, wasn't feeling great about how the set was, knowing I was going to have to start in the back, but just kept chipping away. And a huge thanks to the Firestone Motorsport guys. John Jones on the box tonight really helped me out with some mid-race adjustments, and Dan, like always, was a support.
Yeah, races like this, long ones on the track like Kansas, it's all about not giving up, and you definitely did not give up. And I mean, you did not get the caution when you spun out, so that could very well get a driver to give up, but you just kept on grinding. So looking ahead on the schedule as well, Darlington next week, is that a track where you think you can get back into the top, or maybe even contend for the win?
I hope so. It was actually the site of my only other podium finish. I think I got 2nd there last year in one of my first races in PRL. So I'm hoping I can have the same luck as I did last year, but this field's so tough. You got to fight for every spot, which is what makes it fun, but also can be really frustrating at times.
And also looking at the championship, you were 10th place, tied for 10th coming in here tonight, and with a 3rd place, seeing how tight it was around you, you're going to be really close to top 5 after tonight. What's your goals for the end of the season in regards to that?
Put races together. I've had way too many self-inflicted wounds through the season, last week being one of them, Coda, Richmond. I've had a lot of good races that I have thrown away. It feels really good to finally be able to put one together.
Well, you did a great job recovering there, so congratulations once again on 3rd place here tonight, and good luck next week.
Thank you, guys.
Derek Hogg, the 3rd place finisher at the end of the night, as again, apologies, I was looking at some butchered race results. Move down to Matthew Long, the runner-up after tonight's race, and while it might not have been a race win, Matthew Long did not let Trent Dinkle go quietly in this one, as you were, among all the drivers that came and went, you were among one of the 2 that was in a constant dogfight from green all the way down to when that final yellow flag flew with just a few laps left to go.
Yeah, that was a fun race, man. We had an awesome car after about 30 laps. I think, we probably had the best long run car. And I was probably missing a little something on the short run, and I just hate it. On that last pit stop, I slid through my box and gave up the lead. So I don't know if I would have been able to hold Trent off on that short run at the end, but would have liked to try. So all in all, I don't mind the 2nd place, but it hurts losing to Trent from a point standpoint. So, we'll move on to Darlington.
Obviously, the Darlington Raceway, it's a racetrack that not so easy to get alongside in a fight for the race lead. What do you think you'll have to do to put that DSR number 28 Mustang up onto pole and potentially to victory lane?
Well, we won last time we were here, and Darlington is probably one of my favorite tracks. So we'll probably just look to improve upon what we brought last time and go get them. Yeah.
And of course, looking forward to the championship as a whole. We are getting set to enter the closing stages of our championship here in this one. You still run 2nd to Trent Dinkle, 28 points back entering this race tonight. Do you reckon over the next 3 weeks you'll be able to reel in that gap enough to be able to overtake him in Charlotte?
It's going to be tough. Probably will need a little bit, some mistakes from Trent. But, if we keep running like we've been, top 3, and, anything could happen. So we'll keep digging.
Well, we will wish you the best of luck then tonight, and or at least next week then, Matthew. Thanks for joining us up here tonight, and congratulations once again on that 2nd place finish.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
That was Matthew Long joining us up here in the broadcast booth, and that's going to be it then for the podium finishers here in this one. Linus, what a race that we had so far here tonight, and I have to say, I think this race went about as well as it could have gone. What a night of racing. We didn't make it to regulation on laps, but holy cow, they gave us one heck of a show that you still can't be mad at, even if it ended under caution.
Yeah, Kansas is a great racetrack on iRacing, especially in these cars, with the fact that you can use every single line, and it's one of my favorite tracks to race on. I've had so much fun here this week racing, and now covering this race, you can see guys running the bottom, guys running the top, every single line you can use whenever you want, and different guys being good at different places of the track and at different parts of the runs just makes for an amazing race, and that's exactly what we got here tonight.
And well, that's going to be it then for us here from the Kansas Speedway as we overlook Darlington. It'll be same time, same place, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on May 14th here in 2023 for the Precision Racing League NASCAR Cup Series on a Sunday night. For now, though, from the Sunflower State, my name is Manolo Rempel with Linus Brostrom beside me in the broadcast booth. And then, of course, Mike Yao down behind the cameras for tonight's production, doing an amazing job as always. Thank you for joining us on RaceSpotTV. We'll see you next week when we get set to go racing at the track Too Tough to Tame.